Hello, I am Munchakoopas and I speedrun Shovel Knight low percent, and this is my submission video. So time begins when we select yes on the timer, and we skip this intro cutscene. We jump at the start of every level because it achieves the fastest horizontal move speed as soon as possible. Shovel Knight is a game made by Yacht Club Games, an indie developer, and it features mechanics similar to DuckTales, Castlevania, and Mega Man. You can use the shovel to break dirt and bounce off of enemies, and there's also a hidden mechanic where you can cancel your attack by jumping. So you can stand on the ground, swing your shovel, jump a half second later, and then do another attack in the air. And we use that trick to kill enemies, break through blocks, and kill bosses quickly. This is the first level, Plains. There are 12 levels total that we play through in a low percent run. They're the same levels in the any percent run. This is basically the tutorial level. There's not a whole lot to talk about. I'm just breaking through blocks, killing enemies, and proceeding as fast as possible. The difference between low percent and any percent is that low percent uses only the shovel. I can't buy any health upgrades, armor upgrades, and I do not buy any of the magical relics. So the low percent run in the later parts of the game, all the tricks are based off of damage boosting and bouncing off of enemies. There's lots of ladders in the game. Shovel Knight can grab a ladder with up or down, and you can't jump off of a ladder except for when you are at the top. If you are in the middle of a ladder and push jump, you will fall off to whichever side you are holding. I jump right there over the screen transition because it actually is faster to break those blocks, but I missed, and then I messed up this whole room, unfortunately, so I lost a couple seconds. In this room, it's actually faster to do it this way and break those blocks that way, because it breaks 2 layers of blocks, and then the pogo on the final layer of blocks is faster because you bonk your head on the highest layer of dirt. So coming up is the first boss of the game, Black Knight, and this is the first test and example of shovel canceling, or the jump cancels I mentioned earlier. We jump to avoid Black Knight's first attack, and then we just continue jumping and attacking at the right moment to push him into the corner and get the quick kill. And then I split when gold appears above Shovel Knight's head. And then Black Knight runs away. We will fight him again later on in the run. There are actually 3 Black Knight fights in the game, but we only play 2 of them. So after every level there's this bit of a resting sequence at that campfire, and there's a cutscene you can skip by pressing start. And so now we go to the village, but we don't need anything, so we just talk to this guy and leave. And we never go back to the village because, as I said, we don't buy any upgrades of any kind. So this is Pridemore Keep. It's the lair of King Knight. He is a king-themed knight. And this first room has some hazards on local timers, so you have to get through the room quickly and flawlessly. The lava pots there are the local hazards I mentioned. Again, another one. You can beat the cycle there. So there's a certain amount of time at the top of every ladder where you can jump before reaching the very top of it, and so we try to jump off as early as possible. The rats in this room and all the rats in the game are pure RNG. They have a few set patterns they can use, so you just have to react to them. That thing I just bounced off of is a checkpoint. In any percent, you break a lot of the checkpoints to get money to buy things, but since I don't need any of the extra gold, I just activate them in case I die. The main gimmick of this level is these chandeliers, which fall after you stand on them or run under them. And we're going to come up on, I think, the first use of damage boosting in this game, which we use a lot in a low percent run, but we turn around and take damage from these fireballs to move through the griffin quickly. Then you can pick up that health without stopping. There's normally an animation and you're rooted to the ground when you dig up a food platter, but we avoid that by hitting jump and attack at the same time. So this room, you just have to jump through and beat the lava. This is theoretically the fastest version. It's also the least safe. There is a safer version that takes slightly less time and even the same amount of time. Here we jump and pogo, or jump, swing, and then pogo the griffin. Some enemies in this game have a state where after you damage them, you can enter their like sprite for a second. This is King Knight. This boss fight was made by Busta Wolf. He figured out how to get all these hits in so quickly. So shoutouts to him. Perfect fight. And then we skip another cutscene. And so now an enemy will appear on the map, that one, and he can move anywhere on the map and even block me and prevent me from proceeding, which obviously we don't want. This is the Lich Yard. It's the lair of Spectre Knight. He's basically the Grim Reaper. And that green enemy I just jumped over, and that one right there, it's a frog, very aptly named. But they are completely random. They have 3 jump heights, 3 jump distances, and at any given time they can electrify themselves. And coming up here we'll see another trick like what I did with the Griffin before King Knight. As I hit the skeleton, he's in a state where I can enter his hitbox without getting hit, and I use that to pogo him lower on his body so I can get 2 pogos and get as high as possible on the ladder. This next room has these platforms that lower whenever 2 things stand on them. It can be 2 enemies, it can be an enemy and Shovel Knight. It doesn't matter. It can also count as these skeleton heads with the helmets. I kill that frog because otherwise this platform will sink and kill me. The other feature of this level is these dark rooms which occasionally light up. In this room I have to go over and get this skeleton on this platform on the right, and then bring it over to the platform on the left. There really isn't anything different between a low percent run and an any percent run. In the first 3 levels, they will look essentially the same, aside from the fact that in low percent we do not break checkpoints. I take damage from that frog right there to get through without getting hit or killed by the other frog. So now we come up to the 3rd boss of the game, Spectre Knight. His first teleport is always to the opposite corner of whichever corner he's in, which you'll see in a moment. And so what we do is we push him back over to the right to bring him to the bottom left to get these extra hits in. After this, his teleports are random. What I'm hoping he'll do is come over here to the left, which I failed, but ideally he wants to go to the left, and then he teleports again to the bottom left corner, so I do basically the same strat I did, but on the other side. So the boss fight was slightly slower than I wanted, but I'm still ahead. And if you're wondering why it says no microphone at the bottom, this is an old recording that I am doing commentary over. This is the first of 3 dream sequences that you can't skip in the game. And after about a minute or so, Shield Knight appears at the top of the screen and everything turns slow motion and you have to catch her. Or, if you die in the dream sequence, she appears immediately. So what we do is we wait for these skeletons to raise their swords, and when they raise their swords and you get damaged, they do a whole heart of damage to you. So I want to get hit 4 times and position myself in a way where Shield Knight will land on top of me, and if you hear that bright shing sound like you just did, that means that I ended the cutscene 2 seconds earlier because I technically caught Shield Knight. And so the next level I'll be going to is the Explodatorium. It features a lot of global timers, so everything in the first few rooms really matters that I do perfectly in order to be on the right cycle to get everything. And one of the main features of this level are these fire platforms. Some of them are on cycles that just shoot up at you without any control. The rest will simply appear as you walk over them. I have to wait right here for a split second, because for the next bird, you have to wait, otherwise you can't pogo him like that, which wastes time if you get hit. And the rats in this level explode. Basically everything in this level explodes. And I take another damage boost here because it's faster than killing that enemy. And then break that block to save some extra time. And I hit this cycle perfectly, so I get through that room really quickly. And then I get through this room quickly as well. No, I messed up the cycle here, but I still get through pretty quick. All of these pots that have the lids that shoot up, they are on a global cycle, so that's why this matters. Sometimes you can get to that room, and if you're on the wrong cycle, you can just totally mess up. I usually don't get hit by that bird. Right here I bounce off of these stone blocks and then pogo him 3 times to kill him without stopping. This is the Alchemist, or some people call him the Yeti. I bounce to the other side and kill him on this side because you can technically kill him faster from the left, but you run the risk of getting hit by the potions, which costs me health and time. So I'd rather just not. Right here I take a damage boost to get through quicker. And coming up, we actually are able to do the ladder skip done in any percent with the phase locket in low percent by taking damage. We just have to lure this enemy over and bounce off of him. And I like to be on the rightmost portion of the first flare pillar in order to make that work, but you can set it up with other ways. Unfortunately, we have to go through this room this way, but that's okay. The green guy at the top actually he has a chance to not jump down to the bottom, and if you have only 1 whole heart remaining, he can kill you, which is dangerous. Right here I damage boost to get up on that platform. There's another mechanic in this game where if you are swinging your shovel, you can move in the air without turning around, which is how I was able to get that damage boost. So now we come up to Plague Knight. He's kind of a random boss. He always tries to jump over you, essentially, so you can lure him into a pattern, like this. And you can reflect his projectiles to damage him further. You can reflect just about any projectile in this game. They don't do any extra damage when they're reflected, but it helps. Or I guess what I should say is they do damage, but they don't get a boost from you reflecting them or anything. The next level is the Lost City. It takes place inside of a volcano. And the reason this split has a sorry next to it is because I found a pixel-perfect jump to get over some lava in this level, and it saves about 4 seconds. I didn't go for it in this run, because if you miss it, you die. I did try to do another trick in this room to skip half of this auto-scroller, but I missed it because it's sort of hard to do. What I want to do is fall off of here and break both of these sand blocks, but I only broke the top one. If I break both, that blue bird will actually continue underneath the dirt ahead of the beetle, and then he can come over here and I can bounce off of him over this next gap. But that didn't happen, so instead I just had to wait for the beetle of shame. If I do get that pogo, it saves between 10 and 15 seconds. I wanted to turn around and take a damage boost right there, but I messed up. Oh, in this level, these fireballs that fall from the ceiling are on a local timer in every room. And right here I swing and pass through the bird. There are some enemies that, again, when you hit them, you can enter their hitbox. And some enemies will actually push you back when you hit them. And some enemies you can just pass right through. And so we use that right there to save an extra second and just move through the bird without stopping. The other main feature of this level are these exploding pillars. If I pogo that bottom one, I just fall into the lava, which of course we don't want. And then there's this green goo. The green goo is actually just lava with these green droplets that I just bounced off of. And the green goo will actually put out the fire on those fire slimes as well. But here you'll see what I mean. It makes the lava safe. You can actually hit that goo and the block at the same time. And then right here, I don't remember if I got it. I did get it. If you do a pixel perfect jump off those first platforms, you can only bounce twice there and save 2 seconds. Otherwise, you have to bounce 3 times. Right there, I did a back hop slash, which is just jumping, swinging my shovel, and then holding back. And that saved me a half second because I got damage boosted sooner than I would have if I had waited for the enemy to attack me. So just like the first Beetle auto-scroller, we want to use these birds to skip some of it. So what we do is we free them at a certain time, and then we come over here, and then we bounce off of one, and onto these dirt blocks. And now we're coming up on the Mole Knight boss. He likes to fly through the air at high speeds. You can hit him twice per pass. I missed a few hits. And then you jump pogo, reflect a projectile, and the rest is pretty self-explanatory, I think. And I lost a lot of time on this level, mainly because I missed the first auto-scroller skip. But this is still a good pace. I have a 50-second time save on the final split of this run. The run before this, I was really ahead and had a 49-24 lined up, but I died on the final boss. This is the Iron Whale, the lair of Treasure Knight. It's the game's water level, so you have water physics, you're very floaty in the air. But you don't actually run any slower or swing your shovel any slower, which is nice. You just have this nice floaty effect to your jump. I like to go this top way here. It takes just about as much time as it does to kill one of the crabs and then use their shell to break the bubble. So, no time lost really. And coming up are some rooms with some tentacles, and you break them with your shovel. And then right here, I swing as I enter, and pogo the next one, damage boost, pogo, and use the remaining invincibility to kill the last tentacle and jump off just before my invincibility runs out. Otherwise, I would have been killed by those spikes. Right here is the fish mini-boss. And this is basically an auto-scroller that leads to 3 platforms, which is where you fight the boss, or the mini-boss. And you can pogo off of that chest to ride it all the way over here, but sometimes the fish will stop if you do that, so we don't. Ideally you want to hit him 3 times, at least twice, in this sequence, but it's really dependent on his height, because he takes 12 hits to kill, I believe. So I take damage right there to get through there quickly. There's a gold chunk on the wall. I dig it off of the wall and then bounce off of it to get to the ladder as soon as possible. And coming up is the anchor skip. You can skip all the anchors in this room. I missed that one, but you actually can make that jump and save about 4 seconds there. And here you have to jump off of the leftmost portion of the anchors, and you can't wait, otherwise you will fall to your death. And here I went for the food just to have safety on the boss of this level, because he has some very dangerous attacks that do a lot of damage, and I just wanted to be sure I got through here safely. Sorry about the mouse on screen. This is Treasure Knight. If you get hit by his anchor, it's a whole heart. And you can come up here and kill him quickly, but you don't want to kill him at the top of the screen when he does that. Otherwise, as you can see, he floats down to the bottom of the screen very quickly, or slowly. And if you do that at the top of the screen, it wastes about 10 seconds while you wait for him to get to the bottom of the screen, because the victory animation and the cutscene don't trigger until he is at the bottom. So now we come up to the second dream sequence that you can't skip. It's the hardest one to die in. The deaths in these dream sequences do not count towards your deaths in-game, by the way. So I have to get hit by him, which is a whole heart, get hit by that potion. Ideally, that potion would not have hit the bird, and it would have come back down to the ground and hit me. So this was kind of a slow dream sequence death, but the timing on all of this is very tricky. The next level is the stranded ship. It's the ice level. It has a lot of really tight jumps, and a lot of bottomless pits, and a lot of damage boosting. So we take the bottom path here because it's faster. And right here, if you jump off of the very edge of this platform, you get that bounce perfectly. And I use a jump cancel to quickly break the first stone block. And this jump requires you to do this exactly this way or it will not work. And that saves about 10 seconds. We mash jump and attack to get through these blocks quickly. Then sometimes I kill the dragon if I get through the room quickly enough, but you can just walk under him. Here's the other main feature of this level, is these moving platforms that shoot rainbows. As you can see, the rainbows disappear after a while, and after that you can't stand on them, obviously. And normally we would skip this room with the propeller dagger in any percent, but since I have to use this platform to get through the room, it requires exact knowledge of how to move the platform quickly, and exactly like how soon you can hit it without bonking it against other platforms. And right here I'm going to take damage intentionally. And if you get through that room fast enough, you actually get damage boosted up to the platform with 2 snow blocks. That I just didn't get through fast enough. If you get through here quickly enough, you can make that wolf run off that platform and save a second or two. And at this section, I watch the hammers, because I know I almost died, but I know exactly how I can manipulate Shovel Knight with jumping and tapping right. The only thing that I don't know is where the hammers are going to be. Another damage boost. The very last room of the game, this level coming up, it is entirely covered in spikes. And there are snowflakes hovering above the spikes that if you pass through, they will land on the spikes and protect you, like so. And the danger is getting hit by the dragon does a half heart, getting hit by the snowball projectile from the mage does a whole heart. And so getting through that room quickly can be very tricky dependent on enemy movement and just how much health you have and how much you're willing to risk. This is Polar Knight. We will use the trick to pass through enemies here to damage him as he moves. I got damage boosted toward him to get extra hits. That's the one advantage low percent has over any percent on some of these bosses, is that we can use our health to set us up for extra hits since we don't have the relics to help us out. The next level is the Clockwork Tower. It's actually the most straightforward level in the game next to Plains. There aren't too many speedrun tricks in it, mostly because everything that you could skip, you need all the relics for. So there unfortunately is an auto-scroller in this level, and the boss of this level takes a bit extra time over any percent. Right here I like to fall and line up that jump. If I get here and get damage boosted by this first gear, I can get through here quickly. Otherwise I have to wait for the second one, or take 2 whole hearts of damage, which is bad. I need a lot of health on this level because the only tricks involve damage boosting, and things in this level do a lot of damage. In a marathon I would grab this checkpoint, because coming up is a room that spawns basically Medusa heads from Castlevania. But they're these sign daggers, or missiles, as we like to call them in the community. And I did not want to get hit twice there. The reason being, simply touching this red knight does a whole heart of damage. And I got stabbed, so that's even worse. So I have very low health. And this room right here, I've seen as many as 13 missiles spawn in this room. They're completely random, and if the game wants you dead, it will just put missiles in the right places to where you can't do anything and you just die. Ideally, I want more health coming into this auto-scroller, because there are some knights in this auto-scroller that I have to fight, and they can kill me with one attack at this low health. Oh, the rats on this level are all little gear robotic rats that just run back and forth and then dive at you. I like to get some early damage in on that one. So instead, since I have such low health, what I do is I try and bounce them off the side of the platform to kill them on the spikes, which works. And then you can lure this next knight to his death as well, or you can just jump past him sometimes. So the gears that the mages shoot out deal a whole heart, which is why I grabbed this checkpoint, because if I had messed up I would have died. Luckily there's a health pickup in the next room. Got through there quickly. Bonked on the ceiling. I want it. You can just jump up that whole ladder. And this is the, I think, second longest auto-scroller in the game. But it's just ascending up this tower and not dying. Not too much to talk about here. I just try to keep Shovel Knight on the screen so that I know where I am so I don't die. It is possible to jump on everything before it appears on screen, which I used to do, but I ended up dying too much. I don't need that gold, I picked it up because why not? And so coming up we have to lower this floor, and so we hit this switch 2 times and then pogo off of it to get the floor low enough for us to proceed. This is Tinker Knight. In any percent, we use the mobile gear to kill him instantly, an Easter egg intended by the developers. In low percent, you have to fight him this way, so I will take some damage intentionally in some spots, but every time he walks toward you, you can swing at him twice and then pogo with a jump cancel. And ideally you want to kill him before he falls over and then gets up and starts throwing wrenches back and forth. So that was kind of a slower kill, but still pretty good. And this is the real boss of this level, the Tinker Tank. And so what I'm going to do is there's these platforms that he shoots out, and I jump on one and then get up early and start pogoing him. And then right here, you'll know if you pogo him optimally by how many missiles he shoots out. Ideally, you only want him to shoot one, the one that flies to the left. If he shoots either of the diagonal ones, you know you took just a tad too much time. It was still a good kill. The next level is the Flying Machine, home to Propeller Knight. And I actually got a gold split in the run before this, so I believe I lose some time here. This is, I think, technically the longest level in the game in terms of rooms. And it's also, it has the most tricks, I think, out of every level. Ideally in this room what I want to do is back hops / damage boost through those jellyfish, but I messed that up. So that last room I just passed has one of the gimmicks of this level. It's a wind tunnel. There are several rooms in this level that have a wind effect, which carry you any direction. And so you just have to change your movement based on that. Right here I lure this propeller enemy over to the left and then bounce off of him. And then he pushed me over to the right. That's kind of another bonus of the... Sorry. That's another mechanic of this level, is that there's fans and these propeller enemies that use their propellers to push you places. So a lot of the tricks in this level, in any category, involve using their momentum boosts to our advantage. Or just killing them so that they don't mess us up. So right here I have to bounce off of these jellyfish, so I just try to bounce off as soon as possible. And right here I have to wait for this guy to shoot a projectile at me, and I have to wait for the platform to come over anyway. So in the next room there are 3 of the propeller enemies, the green ones, and I try to manipulate them in such a way that I can just move through the room quickly. Which I got. And this room is basically an auto-scroller. And there's one more propeller enemy in this room that will come at me from the right. So I just wait until he's in a position for me to bounce off of him. And it's been a fun 33 minutes, so we're gonna take a break for a little bit. Just stand here. And then we have to bounce off of these cannonballs. And here's some fans. They're on, I believe, a global timer. I could have made that cycle, but if I got hit by the fans, it would have cost me more time, so I decided to wait. And in this room we don't have the propeller dagger, unfortunately, so we can't get through in one cycle of this wind. But we can get through relatively quickly. And right here we're going to take damage intentionally from a rat. Because when you take damage in the wind tunnels, for whatever reason the wind stops affecting you, and that's the safest way to get through that room. And now we're coming up to the Propeller Knight boss. And normally this boss is really tough, but I developed a really fast way to kill him. And it's a really... just watch. So the reason this works is all about jump canceling. I discovered that As you hit Propeller Knight, he passes through you. We knew that already. But what I discovered is that you can jump cancel, turn around, and hit him again on the other side. And Propeller Knight will fly away after you deal 8 damage to him. And so what I do is I manipulate him to deal 12 damage, and then... No, I deal 13 damage on the ground, and then I jump, hit him again, and pogo him for 15, and then I pogo him in the left corner to kill him. The only reason he flies to the left corner is because I delay the second set of 6 hits until right before he hits me. So this is the third dream sequence. It's the easiest to die in because you just have to realign yourself in one spot next to that left Viking. And so now we come up to the final 3 levels of the game. They are simply called Tower 1, Tower 2, and Tower 3. Tower 1 features mechanics from all the previous levels, most of the previous levels, and we fight Black Knight at the end of the level with some new twists. So right here, all these jumps and pogos are very carefully timed. Unfortunately, I messed that one up. And for safety purposes, I went for the safest strat possible here, but you can actually bounce off of those fish to get through there faster. And these rats are complete RNG, so you just have to wait for that one to move into the right spot to bounce off of it. These ones gave me a horrible pattern. And unfortunately I had to reset this room. I lost a lot of time on this level, unfortunately. But like I said, I have a 50-second time save in the final split, so I kept going. Right here I just have to get through here and damage boost. And in this room we actually skip a couple of Crusher cycles. You can skip more in any percent thanks to the Propeller Dagger. But right here I jump to get a bubble on the right side of the screen to load early so that this whole thing is even possible. So I get up here early, and then I wait a moment and proceed over here, and I've already skipped one cycle. And then we skip another. And then I'm actually going to die in this next room, I remember, because I didn't expect to get hit by those knights. And there's another one of those pots from the Explodatorium on a global timer. And I got hit by that enemy, which caused me to die. Luckily I died right next to a checkpoint, so it wasn't a huge time loss, but it is still unfortunate. There aren't any other deaths for the rest of the run, though. That's a very hard jump to make, as is that one. Oh, these archer enemies and the samurai enemies are unique to the final 3 levels, and they are actually designed by fans, Kickstarter backers. Unfortunately, the rain, while very pretty in the actual game, it doesn't look very pretty on streams with lower bit rates, like mine. So coming up, there is one more of those propeller enemies, and you have to jump in such a way, like this, to prevent him from pushing you off the platform and killing you. Unfortunately, I got hit because he flew just a bit too low, but luckily I was able to get through quickly. And so now we're coming up to Black Knight 3. You can stun lock him the same way we do Black Knight 1, but it's on a much tighter window, so it's very difficult to do. And he has more health. Luckily, I got it perfectly. Unfortunately, because of the death, and for the fact that I messed up a couple of the early rooms, I lost 19 seconds. And the next level is very short in terms of actual room length, but this game is very similar to Mega Man, and at the end of the game you actually have to fight all the other bosses again. So we just fought Black Knight, and in the next level you have to fight all the other 8 bosses in a row. And for some reason this level has some underwater mechanics. I'm not really sure how water got into the top of this tower, but okay. So we bounce off of these rats, and then get up here, take damage intentionally so we stay in there. And that enemy died instantly because he fires arrows, and I reflected one of his arrows and hit him with my shovel, which counted as 2 hits and killed him instantly. I take damage on purpose here to move through here without, well, ideally without getting hit, but I took some extra damage. And I got the health here just for safety reasons, because there's a lot of fire in the next room, and the propeller enemies. And the propeller enemies, even touching them, deals a whole heart of damage. And I have to use this platform to move through this room, so I have to wait. But the platform will actually kill any enemy it collides with, so I use that to my advantage. This is the longest auto-scroller in the game. And coming up there will be some blocks. And an interesting thing about the blocks in this game, the dirt blocks, is that they aren't actually physical objects until they appear on the screen. So we can actually jump up above them and get on top of the blocks before they spawn, or even inside them. Like so. This actually does help from a speedrunning perspective because it avoids all the enemies. And also, if you don't keep up with this auto-scroller and if you break the wrong blocks, there will be nothing you can do and you won't be able to get up here. And over on the left in the wall there's another chicken. Shoutouts to Castlevania and their hidden wall chicken. And so now comes the boss rush. The order is usually random, but I've found that there actually are a few set orders. So again, Plague Knight is somewhat random. You actually can trap him in the left corner, but sometimes he just decides not to. I unfortunately got a rather slow fight here. That fight took far too long. Polar Knight usually appears within the first 3. A lot of the fights have the same mechanics that they do in the regular fight. The only difference really is the size of the room. It's slightly smaller than all the other boss rooms. For example, the Treasure Knight fight is different because you can't get on top of him to pogo him. Well, you can, but it doesn't do nearly as much damage as it does inside his own level, because there's no ceiling in this level. I try to position myself in the middle because I'm used to starting on the left side anyway. Also, the Propeller Knight trick I prefer to do if I start in the middle. Because sometimes if you're too far to one side of the screen, Propeller Knight will not fly close enough to you in order to get the fastest kill possible. the Mole Knight fight works basically the same way. The only difference is it's reversed. The Spectre Knight fight has the same mechanics, but you can bounce him into the corner like this. And because he's slightly lower to the ground, when he's in the bottom left or right corners, you actually can't get as many hits in when he's on the ground as you can in the regular stage. King Knight is slightly slower because, again, there's no ceiling to set up the quick pogos. So we can't do exactly the same thing, but the same techniques still work. And my technique for killing Propeller Knight works perfectly in Boss Rush. And I time this split when I walk to the right and the screen fades to black. And so, my ultimate goal for this category was to get a sub 50 run, which I know I can do. And this level optimally takes 2.5 minutes, so I could just barely make the cut. These blocks always appear in the same order. You actually can get hit to get through here faster, but I wanted to be sure I got through safely. And those blocks always appear in the same order. But they don't actually have solid properties until they're at their max height. So if you jump too early, you can actually just fall through any of those blocks. And now we come up to the final boss, which has 2 phases. The first phase is harder than the second. There is a quicker kill that I did not go for safety reasons. But after this sequence, it is actually possible to travel with her under the blocks and do extra damage. But for the sake of not dying, I chose not to. And this pattern is always the same. She shoots fire, then summons these things to reset the platforms, and then has another temper tantrum. And so I have about a minute to kill the final boss. And spoiler alert, the Enchantress was Shield Knight the whole time. And so now, just like in all the dream sequences, we catch her, skip some dialogue, which starts the final boss fight. And Shield Knight jumped left at the start of the fight, which tells me that's where she's going to jump to set up pogos, because she floats in the air like this, and I can bounce off of her. And after you do 8 damage to Enchantress, she starts this cycle where she slams down on the ground like this, allowing you to hit her more. And I get hit a couple times here. And the first ever sub 50 low percent is achieved. And that is Shovel Knight low percent. Thank you for watching.